Welcome everyone. Before we get started, I just want to encourage everyone at the back to please come up. We've got like a row and a half that's not taken up, and we won't judge if you don't want to come, but there's plenty of space. So please feel free to come forward. There we go. Brave one. Thank you. She doesn't. Well, I don't know. You know, she doesn't bite.
Most people are.
Thank you. So my name is Kurt Ackerman, and I am the head of the South African Urban Food and Farming Trust. We're a local nonprofit trust that works in the food system, and we are the hosts of the Food Indaba. We first started the Food Indaba back in 2014, just down the road above Truth Coffee, and we had been involved in kind of farmers markets and urban farming, and we had met all kinds of cool and interesting people, and we realized that we never had time to talk to each other or hear their full stories, and we said, please come, tell your story, share with one another. And then someone brought soup, and we had an incredible experience, and we said, we must do this again. And then 5 years went by, and we couldn't get to it, and we picked up again 6 years ago, and had 2 years of virtual engagements because of course COVID got in the way. And so this is our fourth year in a row of in-person engagement with the food system. And I think for most of us, okay, I'm a food systems nerd. I work with food and food systems, and most people think of food as hunger or cooking or shopping or rubbish or whatever it might be, maybe farming. But of course food is a system, and everyone's part of that system. And so when we talk about food in the food system, it is what I like to call radically inclusive. Everybody's in. If you're alive, you eat, you have a say, you have a voice, you have a level of expertise, and that makes it very powerful. And what that means is that we can all learn from one another in order to understand and try to address some of the challenges in our food system. Because as many of you probably know, we have very high levels of food insecurity. In South Africa, about a third of all children under the age of 6 in South Africa are chronically malnourished, or what's called stunted. We have a lot of issues with non-communicable diseases, so diabetes and high blood pressure and obesity and all the things that come with that. And so while our food system may not be broken, it's engineered to do something that's actually really harmful for us and our health and the environment and the climate and so on. So the Food Indaba is really our attempt to understand that and to find each other so that we can take some actions that actually start to make a difference. And one of the real opportunities that we have is to use almost any means available, because food is connected to all parts of life. So we'll come to the literary component of how we're accessing this just now, but we've got walking tours, we've got conferences and workshops, we're doing food jams with teenagers, and we're making ice cream with kids at the science center, and we're cooking and eating. We're not just talking about food. And we had a tour earlier this afternoon of the exhibit called Humanity at these eco museums, which is this amazing human evolution exhibition. And it's the story of how food and nutrition and eating affected our evolution and our bodies and our DNA and all of that. And so all these different ways of getting at a deeper understanding and connection with the food system is what gives the Food Indaba its strength. So over 14 days, we have 20, I think we're 26 or 27 events. So there's a lot going on. This is coming almost to the midpoint of the 14 days. And one of the highlights, it also marks the first time we're doing kind of a literary event and working with the Book Lounge, which we're very excited to do. When we talk about food, a lot of us learn about food from our families and the cooking, and when we start to then want to cook and eat ourselves, we often look to written recipes or written guidance. For those of us fortunate enough to still live with our parents when we start to cook, not everyone starts cooking as a child, then there's that intergenerational passing on of knowledge, but often we're looking for written records somehow. We're phoning our mother, and then we're writing, taking notes. Nowadays it's asking for a WhatsApp voice note or whatever it might be. And this history and heritage of writing it down is very powerful and is a way of capturing and passing on our food culture. And very near and dear to our hearts is food culture. Because in Cape Town in particular, but I think a lot of the world, we have taken to celebrating foodie culture, which is increasing the inequality in our society by celebrating the elite, rather than a food culture that is radically inclusive, but can be manifest in ways from the humblest household to the most refined kind of aesthetic sensibilities in a high-end restaurant. It's not that we don't celebrate those sensibilities, but that is in the context of celebrating our common food culture. And so this is an attempt to do that. And I think Kim, in her recipes, in her writing and all of that, kind of speaks to that range and gets to the heart of food culture. I don't want to steal your thunder at all, but I'm very excited with this, for this, and I think the chance to talk about it. And the final thing I'm going to say, I'm going to say two things. One is, if you're interested in other things in the food Indaba, we still have another week and a bit, so have a look at the website or talk to Ian or any of our team who's around. You can talk to me about what's still on and how to get tickets. And the other thing is that our theme this year is AI and the food system, which is a little bit of a weird one in some ways, because AI and food, like robots driving tractors or AI writing recipes or whatever. You'll talk about that.
It's not fake.
What? No.
It's not fake. It's actually getting full storm.
It is. And a year ago when we decided on it, we were like, and now like the timing is spot on, but it requires a bit of slightly more, I'll say more careful, but a slightly different angle into the relationship between AI and the food system, in part because what animates so much of it is knowledge and data, and it leads us to questions of who's a knowledge holder, how do we generate knowledge, whose knowledge is it, what about attribution? There's some shocking facts that we've learned along the way about Africa in these large language models, and with a ChatGPT or a DeepSeek, something like 5% of the data in those models is about Africa. And of that 5%, 3% of the 5%, so 0.15%, is actually from Africa. So all of Africa's geography, diversity, language, history, culture, feelings, emotion, all of it is one data point in 700. So we're effectively absent from these models. What does that mean? What do we want to do about it? Do we just want to share what we've got? Do we want to engage differently? Do we want to look at other models? And so part of the conversation of between the lines is also this subtext to the text. Was as we write down our recipes and our stories, and what does that mean about who's going to scrape it, who's going to take it, how they're going to repackage it, hallucinate it into something that's now whatever. These are all part of what I'm hoping we'll have a chance to touch on. So that's more than enough for me. Thank you again for being here. I'm going to go grab my glass of wine. Thank you.
Because when I was cooking as a child, we never had the internet, so we followed cookbooks. And cookbooks for me, the same cookbook that I use, I don't know if you still know this book, Snowflake Book of Baking.
Yeah.
That was my go-to book. I still use it. My kids cook out of it, bake out of it. Now that is what I want this book to be. I don't want you to buy the book and it sits on the shelf. I said this must be that snowflake book that I still use today. When my children want to make a chocolate cake, they take out that. There's chocolate smudges for over the years over that book, but on every page there's some smudge of some food. And I want that book to be the same because it means that it's being used. It's not sitting polished on the shelf somewhere. I want that flour mixed in between. I want that fat stains on that book because it means that you're using the book. And I want that book to represent that snowflake book that was for me as a child that I still use today and that my kids are using today. And yes, everything is done on the internet. People say, oh, why do we need to buy a cookbook? Because we can just type in, like you say, type in anything on the internet and it pops up. you know, when I started sharing recipes, people were like, don't give all your secrets away. Like, but why won't I give my secrets away? Because when I die one day, I want these recipes to continue. I mean, there's a lot of recipes that we use today because of our grandparents, our great-grandparents. And if they didn't share that with us, and if we didn't share it with the community, what would we have today? Only air-fried food, you know? So I feel like gatekeeping recipes is an absolute no. Like when someone asks you for a recipe and the person says, no, I'm sorry, it's a family secret. No, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in family secret recipes. I believe that family recipes should be shared, because what are you losing if you're sharing a recipe? What are you losing? You're not losing anything. But at the end of the day, everyone's enjoying. Like I say, I want everyone to taste what I'm tasting. I want everyone to experience what I'm experiencing. I want everyone to say, this is so good, and you make it yourself. So I want to share it with everyone and not gatekeep recipes. And people that gatekeep recipes, okay, I can understand if it's for business purposes. Absolutely. If you want to say unique and say, listen, this is for, I want people to only come to my business and I want them to only eat my muffins or whatever because it's so good. That's understandable. But when it comes to your family recipes and you want to share the recipes. Don't gatekeep recipes. The importance is definitely getting your ratios right. Because sometimes a simple thing like a printing error can screw up the entire recipe. It's as a food writer, now that I say I'm a food writer, it's so important to, like when I was writing this book, I needed to make sure because I'm so used to now with my videos, because when I started writing my recipes. So it was easy, it came natural to me to each step 1, step 2, step 3 with the ingredients listed. Okay, not a problem. For me, I have a problem putting words and sentences together. So I know what I want to say, but it doesn't come out right. So that was a challenge for me. Like, you would write a beautiful book, but me, not so much. I know what I want to say, but it doesn't always come out, you know, what I mean. So I had to write how I would do my videos. So I'll say, okay, first you have to sataya, and that is basically how I learned to put this book together. Because remember, this is also brand new for me. It was my first cookbook. Everything was brand new. So jumping into that deep end was sink or swim. And I decided that, you know, the fast train to success is coming. You jump on board or you stay behind, and is there next train coming? You don't know. So I had to jump in, just like I had to do espresso shows. With me not being in front of the camera, now I'm on live TV cooking. Like, that's insane. And I decided, okay, they invited me, let me just go on it. And I went on it and it didn't kill me. So yeah, it actually made me more confident I would never have done this sitting here in front of an audience and talking. I wouldn't have done this. But just those little steps, I'm now confident enough to sit here. Perhaps you see my face now on the videos, I don't know. But yeah, that's another story. My family is very food orientated. My entire family, from my mom's side, my dad's side, very family orientated, food orientated. It started with, even as a little kid, you know, you'd wake up in the morning, have your kusisi Sunday, get ready for church, go to church, and then my parents would come home, my mom and dad would come home, they would start the Sunday lunch. My sister and I would stay for Sunday school, and when you're coming home from church, you'll hear the carpenters playing in the background, mom and dad cooking together in the kitchen, laughing about something. You come into the house, you can get that roast chicken. My dad was in charge of curries and akris and biryanis, and my mom was in charge of the roast and the sides and the mac and cheese, and that was Sunday lunch. And I think Sundays was when we were, as a family, we were all involved in the kitchen. So small tiny kids standing on the chair, helping wherever, cut this, chop this, grate this. And it's just a vibe, because now the carpenters are playing, so the vibe is there, the family, the wholesome, and then lay the table. And I think food in general started from there. And as time went on, I was 12 years old, both my parents worked full time. So my mom would be like, okay, chop the onions, chop the carrots, take out this, do that, and when I come home, I'm ready to cook. And then later on, it would be, okay, braise the onions, braise the meat, do this, do that, and I'll come home and I'll finish off the pot. And then one day I got so excited that I started early, I saw what she took out, I started early, and I decided to cook the entire meal by myself. And I was 12 years old. And when my mom came home, and she was so proud of me, and I was like, that feeling of her being proud that, you cooked this, oh my gosh. It's like, it's a day that I would never forget. It was the first time I was so proud of myself that I cooked an entire meal at that age, and both my mom and my dad, they thoroughly enjoyed it. So after that was the mistake, by the way. Because after that, it was like, I took out chicken, cook what you want. I took out lamb, cook what you want. So every day, Kim had to cook something. So when the parents got home, the food was already done. My sister was in charge of cleaning, I was in charge of cooking. So from that age, I was cooking every single day. Except on a Friday, because Friday was takeout day.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I made the mistake at 10 years old of making my parents breakfast in bed. So I'm like, oh, okay. And 4 years later, here we are. Thanks for that, Kim. I think a lot of people can probably relate to the story that you actually told around food in your family and how that kind of incorporated into where you are now. I want to firstly, number one selling cookbook in South Africa. Hey, but like you said, this journey to get into the cookbook was largely influenced by your social media profile, and the feedback that you got from your followers on social media. And what has that kind of journey been like for you, in terms of kind of starting out on social media and then ultimately ending up with this cookbook, that people can actually take a piece of Kim home with them, essentially,
With social media, you get your ups and your downs. You get your people that's like, no, you're supposed to do it this way. No, you're supposed to do it that way. But when I'm in the kitchen, food brings me so much joy that you block out that noise. When I'm in the kitchen and I'm chopping and I'm peeling and nothing else matters. And that's essentially what I brought through on my videos. That's essentially when the process of, this is my happy place. I know it sounds cliche, but when I'm cooking, nothing else matters. And just the sense of joy when my family comes home and like, Mommy, did you cook? What did you cook? Or my husband will go onto my status to see what he's coming home to before. So he's like, oh, I see you cooked. You did cook this today, right? I'm like, it's an old video. I cooked this today. So when my family comes home and that sense of feeding them and the joy that they have eating it, like my daughter's now in university, and she says, Mom, the hardest part of it is, now in the first year, I used to do meal preps for her and I used to freeze it and then send it to her. The second year, I said, I'm not going to do that. You're going to have to cook on your own. So I do chicken 60 for her, and now she starts cooking. So her roommate records her with watching my videos and like cooking the food. She says the hardest adjustment that she had to make in her first year was my food. That was one thing that she missed the most, was family dinners, Sunday lunches, and it's tradition for us, and that is what made it hard for her. But essentially, her now going back, because she doesn't cook at all. She's 20 years old, she doesn't cook. She can't cook, but now she's watching my videos, and I think that for her that can't even fry eggs, she asked her little sister that's 10 years old to fry her an egg. And for her now to watch my videos and cook an entire meal on her own, that says a lot, because everybody can do it. If you're watching my video and my daughter that couldn't even fry an egg is now cooking an entire meal, that's essentially what I feel this journey is for everyone watching my videos. It's when you leave your home, when you get married, when you've never cooked before, and the step-by-step that I do is not like a quick 60-second video. I'm giving you step by step by step, and for you to say, I cooked this entire meal on my own, just following your videos, that's enough for me. I don't need the applause. I don't need anything else. As you know, I don't show my face on social media because I don't like that attention. But now I'm like, I did a book and now I have to like jump into the attention. So the reason, the whole thing behind the social media was not for any sort of attention, because I kind of shied away from it. But just the mere fact that people say, I can cook because of you, is more than enough for me.
You know, actually what you've created on social media and in your book is basically like a knowledge center, you know. It's a repository of cultural knowledge. It's a repository and an archive of the kinds of food that South Africans eat. Because we've really kind of recently kind of entering that market where we're embracing foods that are not of European descent necessarily, right? And actually finding value in the kinds of food that you make. We ordinarily would have been like, well, you know, I don't know if I want to be writing about tripe, you know, or if I don't know, writing about chicken feet, you know. And I mean, I was particularly enthused about, I think it was on your social media page, you have the chicken necks kind of stew, and I was like, oh, okay, my mom would love this. Well, myself as well, but and I just love those kinds of recipes again, because, you know, if we don't hold that kind of knowledge ourselves and then share it with other people, it kind of, you know, falls by the wayside, and people don't know about it, people don't interact with it. And again, it goes back to this issue of, you know, identity. So having said that, I note that, you know, some of your recipes kind of play on food that would be considered to be sort of highfalutin, but then you also kind of temper it with things that are more kind of accessible in terms of like costs and those kinds of things, and most people would be able to, you know, easily make or afford making. How important is it for you to kind of hold that tension and that balance?
It is very important, because the cost of food is so expensive that we cannot eat lavish every single day. So things like tin fish, which is pilchards, it's like, how do we make this delicious without being mom cooked tin fish, you know, like in a biryani, in a akni, in a chutney. Oh, by the way, Cape Townians don't know what chutney means. It's a smorchi. Because I get that a lot. You did not add chutney in that dish. I'm like, Mrs. Paul's chutney? No, this is called a chutney. So that's also one of the things I get a lot. You saying a chutney, but you didn't add any chutney in here. So like, it's just the simple things. Even like a beans and potato curry. It's so affordable yet so nutritious, so delicious. And that on Mondays we usually have meat-free days, so it'll be things like paneer, or it'll be things like beans and potato curry, or just yellow potato and dosa, like just simple things, or cabbage and potatoes. It's so amazing. So affordability it's so important in today's because we cannot eat the way that we used to. Today we cannot. And what I like about when I cook is, yes, we have to look for cheaper alternatives, but we can make it delicious. So at the end of the day, that is what I strive for. So yes, we can only afford to eat this, but we can make this delicious. We can wrap it up in a roti. Okay, I mean, Cape Town, I'm going to say roti. But we don't say roti. We can roll it up and we can put it in there, and that's a meal. And the kids love it, my family loves it, and we don't have to break the bank just to cook, to say luxury cooking. Not at all. You know, when I moved to Johannesburg, living in Cape Town, I wasn't exposed to things like pap and chicken feet and all of this. So when I moved to Johannesburg, it was the first time that I was exposed to different kind of food that was out of my culture, out of my comfort zone. So ultimately, I was like, porridge and stew, no ways. But then I ate it and I was like, yo, my goodness, this is amazing. Being so diverse in our food, I can't even explain it. Just like if you think about Cape Town, Durban, and you think about Johannesburg, okay? Cape Town will have the Gatsby, for instance. Joburg will have the Quarter, and Durban will have the Bani Chow, right? All made with bread, but all different, all unique, but so good, so delicious. So if you have experience to go around South Africa and just eat all the different food, that's like South Africa right there. And you know, sometimes it saddens me with some of the comments that I receive where they made a whole big hoo-ha about cooking tripe and trotters together in one pot. So they're like, yeah, tripe and trotters together in one pot. But that's how we learned to cook it here in Cape Town. My husband only in Durban, people only know tripe and beans, or trotters and beans, and then tripe and dal or tripe and peas, and it's separate. So when I cook all of that on my page. But when I put the two together, the tripe and trotters, they stitched the video and they were going nuts on the internet. I was like, what's wrong with tripe and trotters? It's amazing. And it saddens me that people don't know other cultures and they think that only your culture is right. And that is what I want to introduce to South Africa, to say, listen, yes, we can cook tripe and trotters together because that's how Cape Townians do it. Yes, you cook tripe and beans, you cook trotters and beans, and that's okay. And in Joburg, we eat pap and chicken feet, and it's amazing. But that is what I want to teach everyone. Like, it's not just the way you cook it, just not just the way your parents cook it. Be open, try it. And you'll be surprised, you'll be amazed. I love pap so much. Like if I come home and I say to my family in Cape Town, let's have pap and braaivleis. Oh my goodness, pap. What do you have? Porridge without braaivleis? No, you know. So that's like that's what I love. I love, you know, bringing all different cultures together as one and introducing it to everyone. If it wasn't for them commenting on my videos, the right people wouldn't have seen it. And with those beautiful comments came, are you going to do a book? You need to do a book. We want a book. We want to see, we want a book. You're already part of our home. When the kids hear, welcome to Cooking with Kim Bagley, they get excited like, Mom is cooking something good, Dad is cooking something good. So that was so heartwarming. When I hear comments like that, it makes it all worth it. And especially with my family, I'm from Cape Town, not Cape Malay, but I'm from Cape Town with Cape Malay influences. And my husband is from Durban, and we're currently raising our kids in Johannesburg. So now you can imagine the dynamics. It's Cape Town, Durban Indian, Joburg kids. Like, the food is so vastly different. We live in the same country, yet our food is so different. You will be shocked. Like, everything is so different. And when married to my husband and introducing my culture and his family introducing his culture, and then living in Johannesburg and having Johannesburg culture, is something else. So amazing, because now you get to try everything, you get to be involved in everything, and it's just. And I get excited about food. I don't know, but I get so excited about when I talk about food, when I cook. There's just such an excitement when you eat it. It's just so amazing. And it's what inspired this book was the bringing together of families. Number one, his family, my family, our little family at home, and in that book represents everything about us, and not just me, not just my culture, but everything about us and South Africa, and even beyond South Africa, because we've traveled, and then you eat like chicken and waffles, and you have Asian cuisine, and you're experiencing this with your family. So yes, it says South African, but it's also what you've experienced with your family that goes beyond just a South African cooking experience. And it didn't come without any failure. I did 2 years prior, I was seeking to find a publisher, and everyone shut the door and said, sorry, you're not ready, no. But it wasn't something that I was given advice, and I was told, you need to do this, you need to do that, and I followed the advice. And then all of a sudden, people were knocking and were like, you ready for a book? We're doing a book, let's do a book. Don't listen to them, you come to us. And I was like, yay, they're fighting for me. So that was exciting. And then instead of a year, they said, let's do this in 9 months. We have to get the book out. And I was like, okay. And the hardest part of this book was not what's going in, but what am I going to leave out? There were so many recipes that I wanted to include this book. Like, relax, control yourself. We only need so many recipes. There's too many. Take out some. So the hard part was what to leave out, what to include, what are we going to have in this first book. And I know I'm over speaking here, but okay, I'm gonna stop there. You're gonna ask me questions now.
I think the next up is Kim GPT. I think that's
I don't even have the app. I don't even have the app. And it was everything's on check. You see? Absolutely.
okay. I think on that note, we should probably wrap up.
This has been awesome. I'm like, let's have more conversations like this. Like I said in the beginning, I would never sit in front of people and actually chat, but it was nice, it was cozy, I'm just so honored that you guys have had me here today.
Thank you so much. Well, Kim is still around if you'd like to chat to her, tap on the shoulder. Thanks everyone.